That's not the way you want to do it. Kettlebell snatch looks painful when you do it the way I see a lot of people doing it, is the kettlebell comes over the top and bangs into your wrist. You want to do it without banging your wrist, without bruising your wrist. I'm about to show you how to do that. Main thing you want to get accustomed to is holding the kettlebell over your head with the arm completely straight. Shoulder is down away from the ears. The wrist, you want the wrist completely straight. A good way to keep that going is to look at your hand when your fingers are extended and keep that in the same line as your forearm, and then have the kettlebell up overhead. You want to get to where you're comfortable holding the weight overhead at least 30 seconds, a minute, minute and a half before you start trying the kettlebell snatch, because you want to be really strong and solid in that position where you catch the weight. You practice that on both sides with the wrist straight. Everything's in line. You don't want the wrist bent backwards like this. You don't want the wrist extended. When you're holding a kettlebell, whether it's in this rack position or whenever it's overhead, you want the wrist in neutral. Kettlebell, the weighted part of the kettlebell, the ball part resting on the forearm right there. That's the first thing. Really get solid there. And also get solid, feel solid with your elbow completely straight. Sometimes we call that locked out. Now in the Western, modern American exercise, physiology / fitness industry, there's a lot of aversion to locking joints. And that's for good reason, because sometimes if you lock a joint, if you completely extend a joint, it does put the joint structure under more compression. And that's a totally valid concern. However, whenever you have a kettlebell over your head, this is a 20-pound kettlebell, but if it's a 40, 50, 32 kilo, even a 70-pound kettlebell overhead, the elbow can generally take the compression of being fully extended. And in particular, the elbow can take the compression of being fully extended better than your shoulder can take the instability of having your elbow bent. The shoulder is the least stable joint in the body. Having the elbow bent puts the shoulder in kind of a position where it's being called upon to stabilize itself more than necessary. And in that unstable position with the elbow bent and a kettlebell overhead, you're at risk for shoulder injury and head injury. So I prefer the risk of a little bit of compression at the elbow rather than instability at the shoulder, which could cause a shoulder injury, or the blunt trauma to the head, which could cause a head injury. So that's why I say lock the elbow out when it's overhead. Get really comfortable with that position. And then start working on the snatch. You can do the snatch from the floor, lifting the kettlebell from the floor like a one-arm kettlebell deadlift. If you want more input, more instruction on how to do that properly, click that link right there. That link will tell you how to lift the kettlebell from the floor. Kettlebell swing, you can also do the snatch from a swing. If you want more instruction on how to swing safely, click that link. That link will show you how to properly swing the kettlebell. Whether you do it from the floor or from a swing, the main thing you want to remember is to keep your lower back from rounding out. You want to hinge at the hips, keep the spine straight. So this is the straight spine. And I say straight, there is some curve in the spine even when we call it straight. It's more like a neutral spine. The spine is long, hinging at the hips, making the movement look like that, rather than bending at the spine and putting excessive compressive load on the spinal structures. So that's the big thing. Now once you get into the swing or lifting the kettlebell from the floor and you're going into the snatch, the main mistake people make is just flipping it over the top, kind of like Olympic lifting. So In Olympic lifting with a barbell, you just go straight up and flip it over the top, catch it. Boom, you're there. With the kettlebell, you don't want that big weight gathering momentum and then slamming into your wrist. You want to turn your hand, pull the kettlebell while turning your hand, loosen your grip a little bit, let the weight of the kettlebell slide around the side of your wrist before you punch the kettlebell through the top. So it kind of becomes a pull punch, pull punch, pull punch, pull punch. That's what it kind of feels like when you're swinging the kettlebell and going into the snatch. It looks kind of like this. One way that you can facilitate that turn is to turn your thumb back during the backswing or the lift from the floor. Turning the thumb back this way facilitates the kettlebell going around the side rather than over the top. So if I'm lifting it from the floor, I turn my thumb back, there. Ooh, that was a little too much banging the wrist. Real key is once I pull the kettlebell in, I loosen the grip to allow the handle to slide. The kettlebell slides into place and I just push it up to the top. I'm going to do this few reps here each way, and I will slow down the video so you can see how it's happening. So give that a shot. If you got any benefit from this video, leave a comment below. And if you'd like to get content that's not available on the blog or the regular YouTube channel, then click the link that's connected to this video. You'll have a chance to sign up for the Run Better Now VIP Club. And maybe, just maybe, you might want to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Just click that link right there. You'll be able to subscribe to this channel. Good day.